Hello, and welcome back to Orlando Experience. I know we're a little late to this party, but Universal did announce their next big project, and it is going to be Universal Great Britain. So if you didn't hear, they're building a theme park over there, and it's the first time they've really touched that area, and really a major theme park hasn't gone in there in quite some time. So I'm very excited about this project. As you can see from this concept art, we're going to be taking obviously major looks at it, but it is not a epic universe size project. It doesn't have those individual lands, it doesn't have portals. There is some key missing elements too that people have been talking about. I thought we would start off by talking about some of those frequently asked questions, and then after that we'll take our full stroll around the park. I want to kind of run you through what I think everything looks like and what I think everything will be around the park. The first question that everybody seems to be asking is obviously, where is Potter? Potter is not owned by Universal, so some people don't fully understand that it's completely owned by Warner Brothers, and Universal leases it out for their parks down here and in all the other parts of the world. But it's a little bit of a different story in the UK because obviously Harry Potter is very prevalent in the entertainment industry there, and Warner Brothers has their own experiences, including one not that far from where this new park is going to be built. And if I had a wager of why they didn't get the rights to it here at this attraction, is Warner Brothers doesn't want that competition with their movie lots. You can go see the sets there and stuff, and they want people to go and do that instead of going to Universal down the road, where you can have a similar, if not better, experience. I mean, not bashing it, but you're just going to have more of a theme park experience. The other big question is obviously, where's Super Nintendo World? People have obviously been big fans of it. It's probably one of their biggest land IPs now. But I do understand why they're trying to branch out and do some different stuff. We'll talk about what they're doing all around this park here in just a moment, but I think it could be a smart move. I know a lot of people really want it. I'm sure it could be in the plans in the future, might in this park or in the possible second park they might build at this location. I do think it's still in the plans, but I think initially they're trying to kind of branch out and do something a little bit different. But with that, those are the two big questions I think are being asked right now. So we'll start off here at the front of the park, right where you'll enter. So right as you pull up to the park from the parking lot, you will obviously see the classic Universal Globe. Very glad they, again, decided to still do a classic Universal entrance. And I think this entrance area looks very, very nice just from the concept art. Universal's been very good lately about delivering with their concept art, so I would say this is probably what it will look pretty much like. I've been told from multiple people that this entrance really looks like the park over in Beijing, but I do think it also looks a lot like Hollywood's entrance. If you head out onto the street after the globe and ticketing, you'll obviously see, first and foremost, on the left side, they have a hotel. I love parkside hotels. Usually they're a little more pricey, but you're also getting that convenience of literally staying on property, just like Helios at Epic Universe. I really like the decision to keep the hotel off to the left side instead of making it the entrance. Not that I don't like hotels as entrances, I think they can look nice. I just think it's better to leave them off to the side. It's a little less noisy for the guests staying in the hotel, and it's just overall a better experience. On the right side of the street, we do see a theater type experience. I'm assuming this is going to be similar to the theater in Hollywood, where they can show different 3D shows, and they might even switch it up with what they're showing in there. But they could just do the Kung Fu Panda show. And I'm sure there's going to be plenty of shops, places to eat, and all that good stuff on this right side. If we round the corner right onto the right, you do see a little bit of a pond area, and seemingly a show building right in there, as you can see in the back. It's unclear if this show building is connected to that theater. I think it very well may be. Or if that is a completely different offering on the other side there. Some people think that's a sun show in there. I really don't think there's going to be anything that big. That building is not that big. I mean, it could be another show, but again, I think it very well might be connected to that theater to give them a little bit more space in there. And then out on the lagoon, you can see seemingly what I would think is going to be a restaurant just right on the lake. And then we're going to come around the corner to our first big land, and that's obviously Minions. So this is obviously Minions Land. If you've seen any of the other parks, including Japan, this is pretty much identical at this point. You can see that fake coaster on top that is not a real coaster, that is purely for show. And then you can see all the street buildings around. I've heard a lot of people saying that they think that they're going to add more Illuminations IPs in this land. They're going to kind of mix it up. I could see it. I could also see them just sticking with Minions and doing basically what they've done with some of the other parks in their Minion lands, with having the inside being very kid-friendly and very family-friendly, with a lot of flat rides, and I believe they have one coaster normally in it. I think this will overall be obviously a hit. People love Minions. It's possibly one of their biggest IPs, so definitely think it's a smart decision to make this, but I think it gets a little more interesting right above it. So right above Minions, you can see two show buildings and a little bit of a facade out front of one of those show buildings. This is really up in the air. I'm going to say, from what I've heard, this could be almost anything. There's so many different opinions about what it is. The two leading theories, I believe, at this point are Shrek, that I don't really see, but maybe with that new movie coming out, they could warrant having a whole Shrek-themed land. I don't think would be bad by any means, and it's over by the other kids area. But the front runner right now for the rumor of what that will be is Lord of the Rings. I think this is very interesting. Obviously, Universal has clearly wanted to do Lord of the Rings for quite some time. And even with Epic Universe, that was a massive rumor for a while that we were going to have a Lord of the Rings land. Don't know what it would have replaced. I don't know if it would have been Dark Universe or Isle of Berk, but that was a front runner as one of the main 4 lands for a very long time. So it's clear that Universal is very interested in the IP, and I believe they have gotten rights to it now. So it will be interesting. I will say this is a very small land, and I think that would be kind of weird to put such a big IP that they've been wanting to move with for so long into two tiny little show buildings. I mean, they're not tiny, but they're not huge. So you can't put a bunch of indoor area or anything in that where they're more going to be just a show or a small ride. So it will be very interesting to see how this uncovers. Obviously, again, this concept art's pretty vague purposefully. They don't want us to know everything, but we can kind of speculate on our own accord. Right above that, we do see a giant arena style stage show. This is clearly going to be the same arena as Waterworld. It's kind of up in the air what people think will be in this, because I don't think they're just going to repeat Waterworld again. It's not that popular anymore, and I just don't think they would do that. So this very well might be still a stunt show. I think it still will be heavy on pyrotechnics and stunts, and even possibly some fake gunfire, and obviously you're going to probably get wet. I do think this is an overall good decision. This is a big theater. This is going to take a lot of people, and I always love to see that because it makes it very accessible during the day. If it's going to be very busy, it gives you something that you can kind of just walk in and do pretty easily without having to worry about being there too early. I will say this is the part of the video where I'm going to talk a little bit about this. It's kind of interesting. It doesn't seem like they have any straight up water attractions at this park right now. Do you think it's an interesting choice? Obviously, it doesn't get as hot in the UK as it does here in the US, but it does still get fairly warm during the summer, and water attractions are pretty relevant at the other theme parks around the UK. So I do think it's an interesting decision to not have any, at least that we can see on this concept art. That again could change. This whole park could change by the time it opens. They could move things around and stuff. But do you think it's very interesting to have no water attractions at all, especially when it could be pretty hot during the summer seasons? And now we're officially about halfway through. We're right about the back of the park, and what I would argue is clearly the biggest land. This is clearly Jurassic of some sort. I want to wager my guess. I know I could be completely wrong, but I think this looks more Jurassic Park than Jurassic World. When I zoom in on the Discovery Center, I think that looks more like the classic one. Again, I might be wrong. I could be way off, but I just think the architecture around this land looks more like Jurassic Park, including in that seemingly looking kids area and restaurant off to the bottom left. Looks a lot more like our Jurassic Park here in Florida than any of the Jurassic Worlds they've built elsewhere. It's much more of that island design over that more modern design from the newer movies. Other than that, though, we obviously see we have a massive coaster in this land that's kind of shoved back, and it does come all the way out onto the water. This does look like it's not going to be like a flying coaster. It does look like it's going to be a flat, that I'm perfectly fine with. I know some people really like flying coasters like Manta or the one they do have over in Japan. I'm not a big fan of them. They can get me quite sick, so I'm glad to see them not do that, on my opinion. But I can very much see this being something similar to like a Hyper or something. Not super thrilling, but thrilling enough that this is going to be one of the big coasters, but enough that kids could still go on it when they are tall enough and it's not super intense. Looks like it's got a pretty cool layout. I really like that it goes out by the water. I think that's overall a really good feature. Clearly with Velocicoaster, that's a big bonus. Then right next to it, we do see another show building. I think this is probably just a restaurant. And then obviously the massive show building, I think it's the biggest one in the park, is for a Jurassic Park or World dark ride. I've heard very much speculation that it's just going to be the same one from the Beijing park, and that would make sense because it's, you know, they could just copy that ride, and it's super, super popular, known as one of the best dark rides in the world, so it 100% makes sense. Right next to that big attraction that, again, we don't know much about because it's all indoors, does seem to be some sort of kids type play area with a dual drop tower kind of situation. This very much looks like Doctor Doom, so I could see these being launched drop towers. I think this is overall a good looking area, especially if they build a pretty decent sized kids area. I think that's one thing a lot of parks miss nowadays, is not building a big kids area inside the park. Obviously Epic Universal did hit that with Isle of Berk. There is a massive kids play area. I think that's a great move because families sometimes just need a spot to relax while the kids go play, and you don't really have to worry about it. Right below that, it does look like another small show building. This could really be anything. Again, I'm guessing restaurant, because there's not a whole lot of spots for restaurants around this park, so I'm kind of putting them where they can fit, but it could very well be almost anything. It could be a shop, it could be even a small flat ride inside of a building. It would be interesting. As we keep heading down towards the path, we do find quite the interesting land here. First and foremost about this area, we can see there's some sort of amphitheater type experience down on the lagoon. So it looks like it's going to be some sort of show. They could have live entertainment here, but I would best towards a show instead of just live entertainment, because I think that would be a big area to just have live entertainment. So I would guess they're going to do some sort of play type show. It's going to be slightly outdoors with that amphitheater type seating. And obviously, massive coaster. We've got a huge spike on this thing, clearly a fairly large launch right out the bat, and you go up the spike, and it looks like it has a track switch that will then switch you over to the run section, and then you will head back inside the show building, possibly for an ending scene. I've heard very much kind of a couple things. The least rumored one out of all of them is going to be Ghostbusters. Don't think this looks like super New York-y Ghostbusters type experience. It very much could still be, though, because again, this is all up in the air. We can't see the front, we can't see a lot of things on it, but I very much am more towards the Back to the Future side of things. Back to the Future, obviously a very major franchise, obviously not as much anymore, but it's still a big part of Universal's history and stuff. It makes sense they're building a new Back to the Future attraction because people have been wanting it for a long time. I think this area very much could be that courtyard with the obviously ending scene from the first movie, where the lightning strikes the clock tower. I think that will be the theme of the ride too. You could have an inside show scene where that's going to be the launch area that you shoot out after it lightning strikes down. Then you'll do your whole run, and then you'll come back at the current time. I think that's going to be super cool. I could see them having some really cool pre-shows, and I think that launch sequence could be amazing if they do it really good. I think this area is going to be home to probably another restaurant, and there will probably be an exit gift shop. You know, it's a theme park. So I'm very excited to see what they do with this. If it really is Back to the Future, I really hope it does really, really well for them, because I think it could be really, really interesting. And last but not least, if you look a little bit towards the bottom of that area, we do find a small kids area. This is, again, kind of up in the air about what it is. I personally am more towards the side of this is a DreamWorks area. I think if you really, really zoom in and you look close, I think one of those things looks like kind of like a cup noodle thing, probably for Kung Fu Panda, and I think they could put trolls and stuff in here. But the other big rumor right now is Paddington, that I also think would fit perfectly, and I do think that's a possible situation here. Again, it's concept art. It's hard to figure out what they're going to be putting in here until we actually get confirmation from Universal themselves. But it does look like a couple flat rides, possibly a play area outside, and then it's some sort of show building inside. Not a big one, so I'm guessing this is probably not going to be an attraction unless it's a flat ride kind of thing. Because again, very small little area, so it could be just a theater, it could be a meet and greet, it could be a restaurant, it could be a lot of different things, but not big enough, in my opinion, to be a full-blown ride unless it's very, very small. And with that, we've made our full lap around the lagoon. There's obviously a few more things that I didn't fully touch on. There's some really cool theming elements. That part in front of the Jurassic ride with the waterfall walkway area, I think could be really pretty, especially a look out towards the front of the park. I think there will probably be a nighttime show. I could see them putting one out on the lagoon with some fireworks, you know, normal nighttime show type ordeal. They could do one almost like how Islands used to have one out in the lagoon. This is, in my opinion, this looks almost identical to Islands of Adventure. I think this will be built up a lot like it. I think we could get a couple extra lands in here. There's clearly some big expansion plots on both sides of the area that can go into new lands to be put in there. Obviously, Super Nintendo World I could see coming to this park, but also the possibility of a second park here seems to be pretty high in the future. From the kind of land that they did buy from this, it does seem like they're going to build a City Walk type experience. I could definitely see that happening with an entrance to the park there coming from it. If they do build a City Walk type experience, again, I love our City Walk here in Florida, but I would love to see a parking lot in between both the City Walk and the park, so you don't have to walk all the way through it, because it makes for quite the long walkout. But if they do that, it's fine. It's not going to be a make or break, but I do see a City Walk type experience here. And then obviously, it does look like they have enough spots for a second park, so I can see this being very close to our Universal Studios Islands combo with the City Walk here in the future. And I think that's a super good move. I think this will be a huge hit among both locals and tourists, and it will bring a lot of tourists to that area. I've obviously not been to Great Britain yet. I really want to go to Alton Towers and a bunch of the other parks there. But honestly, at this point, we could definitely wait and go sooner to when this park opens so we can see that and get all those other good ones in there. And that's something you keep a radar on. If you're a big theme park person and you're excited for this new park, definitely when you're there, give a few of the other parks a good whirl. Some of them are really good coaster parks, have really good rides, and some of them, especially like Alton Towers, have a lot of history behind them. So I think overall this is going to be a great addition to the lineup in the UK. I think it will bring a lot of competition into that development, and I think that is fantastic for the theme park community, because competition brings ingenuity, and it's going to make everything there just a little bit better. And I think that's always something to look excited for. Overall, I'm, again, very excited for this park. Let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear your opinions. If you think there's something else somewhere in here, I know I've heard some rumors of there might be Jaws somewhere that they haven't fully revealed, and there's stuff all up in the air. I'd love to hear what you guys think. And just overall your feelings towards this attraction if you live in this area, because it will bring obviously a lot of tourists and locals to this park. So thanks for watching. I hope you learned something a little bit new about Universal's new project from me, and I hope you enjoyed this video and it brought a little more joy into your day. We'll see you guys next time.